It's Sunday, October 21st, and Charla is joining me today, and we're sitting here at the poolside in Orlando, Florida, where we had our workshop yesterday. You know, we're just here at the same hotel. And I want to join you today, again, just to kind of give a little brief recap of what happened yesterday. You know, once again, the workshops were very powerful. Energetic is kind of a lack of a term to describe what took place. It's hard to imagine the fact that here we were all day long in a room where we had more people than chairs, and the air conditioning wasn't working quite correctly, and yet at the end of the day, nobody is leaving. Everybody wants to stay because the energy was so powerful and the experience was so wonderful. And again, we want to be so thankful for the time that the ambassador gave us. He spent about an hour and a half with us, further describing issues that are going on, answering questions for the people, and once again showing us pictures that just kind of seem to blow you away. Wonderful, powerful experience. And why do I continue to describe this? I continue to describe this because the people that attend, we've done 9 workshops now. We've had hundreds of people that have attended, and they all come away saying, this is one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. It's making sense. You're bringing clarity to what is going on. If you're involved in this RV-GCR process, and if you have the ability to attend, I encourage you to do so. I have always said that I will allow anybody to attend who needs to attend, who wants to attend, as long as there is room in the room at the hotel. And the one coming up in Seattle, we will have a larger room, so there'll be lots of room if you want to come. You can go to my website, thesedonaconnection.com, go to the registration page, and you can learn more about there, or you can sign up there. And what I want to do today, again, you know, Charla has been very much a part of what have happened. You've heard her on the radio programs. She's beginning to describe some of the experiences. And I want to allow her, basically, to kind of explain or to describe what it meant to her. She's the one who's always talking with the people before, during, and after as I'm conducting the workshop. So she does such a great job of connecting with the people that are there. So Charla, share some of the things that what it meant to you, how you had described it, what you saw, and what you felt some of the people had said yesterday.
Well, thank you. You once again gave me a 3-minute notice to get on camera here. So I am very awed, really, by the energy and the people that show up, and they come from all walks of life, from very poor to probably quite wealthy, and it has nothing to do with that. They're all looking for the truth, and the truth is what's going to set us free, and you are on the path of presenting the truth as you see it. When you find out more, it builds on itself and it draws it to you. And one of the most important comments in the end of the evening yesterday was the gentleman that said, you know, I started this process as an investment, and it's taken me on a journey of self-awareness and just a journey of self-awareness and awakening. And he's so proud, excited to just have found this group of people that are on that same path. And the people that come now, we've been doing it since February or March, I guess. We met in February, and the growth, the knowledge that you are coming in contact with, the people you've come in contact with, the ambassador, which just takes you right up here to the top of the chain. I don't know how to explain it, but in the room, the people are just drawn. I mean, it was hot yesterday, and they just stayed. And
you know, there's one thing that always kind of, and I don't want to say this just for me, but that has impressed me, and I don't care what kind of a seminar or workshop it is, but at the end of the day, when you've been there all day in a room, more people than chairs, it's hot and it's stuffy, and you says, okay, we're done with the formal presentation, you're free to go, and I open up to an open Q&A, and nobody leaves for an hour unless they had a travel conflict where they had to leave. The room at the end of the hour Q&A was still packed out. that tells me they're there because they want to be there. They are there because they're like sponges taking in, but more than that, you're sponges taking in the powerful, loving energy that is there. And you don't want it to end. And that's what I saw. How about you?
Yes, they don't want it to end, but another telling factor is the people that have been at 3 or 4 of your different workshops now, and they're going to continue coming. They want to come back and do it again, because as yesterday when the ambassador's talking, he said this is what happened this morning. So if you want to know what's happening right now, that is, we're getting that. And whoever, I'm always saying, who are we? Who am I to be in this place that, but Moses asked the same question. So we just are human beings, and so is this, the ambassador, and so are all these people that want to make a difference in the world. And when you get a room full of those people that really want to know the truth and really want to make a difference in the world, and finding that this energy combined in that room, and then they get to meet each other and they make new friends and with like-minded people, because a lot of us have friends and family in our life that don't have they're very 3D world and don't understand at all some of what's happening here. It's a little bit overwhelming and mind-boggling, but there are people that, and you always are offering this scholarship, and when people just come in the morning, and I always hug them and love them, but they realize they don't really even have to pay more than they thought they had to, because you let them do what they need to do, and it takes a lot of pressure off of me and them as well. And I just they get tears in their eyes. They cry that we allow them to come and participate for the $25 scholarship or whatever they can do. It's really beautiful, and so I stay around and talk to them after you do, because you've run a marathon, you're exhausted, you're done. And then today I came down and we met them at breakfast, and I spent 4 hours talking to some people this morning, and just I collect people and friends, and so I'm more the human. As much as you can engage with them, you do, but you're only one person, and I love that I get to love and support them as well. Is that what you wanted to hear?
You did a great job. It's just expressing it in your own words, for what is there. And well, I'm going to move on for the rest of the video for this week. So I want to say thank you very much. And I'm going to kind of talk about some of the things that the ambassador had touched on yesterday, and how does that apply to all of us, and how it's a challenge. It's a challenge for our next step of what we need to step into to allow us to be people who are facilitating a real change. So,
will you be mentioning our friend from last week? Slightly. Okay. What I am finding is that, and I don't know the ambassador in person, but I know some other people now very much in person that are just amazing human beings that really don't have much in the physical realm, but that's not important to them right now, even though they might be have the keys of the kingdom in a way, very asset rich. They are cash poor, and they're not all of them, but I'm assuming, I don't know them all, but I think that's we're all just human beings here trying to get through life as best we can with what we have in our knowledge base at the time and from where we come from. And I find it very interesting that so many have given up all the attachment to drama and the attachment to money and the attachment to things of this world, and are able to step into this higher plane of making an impact to humanity with the resources that we are given at the moment.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining me. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty. Well, folks, thank you very much, and I want to thank Charla for joining me. And here's some of the things that I want to share of what's happening, what had developed this week. The ambassador with us, and he has shared this with me more than once, and he shared it with us in the workshop yesterday. You know, he's not American. He's European. He's willing to allow that much to be disclosed. But he is very much a part of the royal bloodline because, see, the dragon family is very broad, very broad in its perspective. It's the term dragon is symbolic. It's a very, very strong symbol within the Asian cultures. For us in our Western cultures, we don't quite understand it because it's never been quite the same part for us. But the family is composed of royal bloodlines that come out of Asia, the Middle East, and in Europe, and he's out of the European line. And sometimes he can be criticized for saying that he's anti-American, and he's very quick to say, I'm not anti-American, and I am anti-stupidity. There's a stupidity that we have to be willing to step in to understand. How there are basically 99% of the people in America that have their head buried in the sand. They don't want to understand what is going on. I talked about this last week when I gave the illustration of how people still want to bury their head in stupidity and not admit, not be willing to look at, not be willing to face what really happened on the truth of 9/11. I was there. It's not so much of a stupidity and an ignorance as much as it is a fear. Fear paralyzes you. Fear basically blinds you. Fear keeps you in a state of perspective that you don't want to step into. Fear, ignorance, and stupidity, they all dance with each other. They all kind of basically say the same thing, and they keep you in the same place. And there comes a point in time when we need to be willing to step out. And I want to talk about this week how there's a lot of things that are going on in the dinar world, in the dinar land, and the ambassador himself has said almost all of what the dinar gurus are reporting is based in ignorance and a stupidity. And when I come back and say it's morally based in fear, because fear feeds ignorance and stupidity is what it does. There are some of them that are out there that are still believing that this thing is basically going to unfold and it's just going to walk into the banks and you're going to waltz in and you're going to be an overnight millionaire. And the fear of facing the truth of who is paying for this, the fear of facing the truth of what that does to a global economy, the fear of facing the truth of what that does to the 98% of the people in America who don't have dinar and dong. They don't want to face into it. Because see, what happens, they get so involved and so narrow-blinded, if I can use that term, or narrow-minded, that they're only looking at their own tree. They're only looking at the trees of their few people around them who have it. And they refuse to look at the forest, of how it impacts the forest of the 340 to 360 million people in America, let alone the 7 billion people around the world. There comes a point in time where it's time to say, it's time to wake up. It's time to come out of our ignorance. It's time to come out of our stupidity. And I am willing to say right now, there's a specific group that is still based in this ignorance of thinking that the U.S. Treasury has 40 trillion US dollars that they are going to give to their one single private contract. I'm going to speak this to that group. You don't have a contract with the US Treasury. I have been notified officially by the Inspector General of the US Treasury, and he has said nobody has a contract with us. There are no contracts. There are no official contracts. And we are not paying anybody in a private contract for this dinar exchange. Now, this is a person who's the the Inspector General of the U.S. Treasury. I've had official communication with him. For him to make that statement, and then the U.S. Treasury is going to go around and fund a private group with 40 trillion US dollars, then that man is subject to finding himself in prison and going to jail because he's operating in an official capacity. And I want to say, folks, wake up. Get out of your fear because you're being driven by fear. And I am speaking right now to the leadership, not only of that one official group, but of other official groups. You're living in fear. Fear dominates you. Fear is controlling you. Fear is blinding you and keeping you paralyzed to the facts that are staring you in the face and you don't want to face into it. It's your choice. You get to do what you want to do. But to believe that you could get 40 trillion US TRN gold-backed dollars from the US Treasury when the Treasury is broke and when the United States government is broke and doesn't have that kind of money. And to think that 99+% of Americans are just going to sit back and idly let you receive $40 trillion for a few thousand people while the rest of the country is broke. The only way they can do that means that they have enough money to pay off our debt, that they have enough money to pay for other things, and there would be other money that they would be receiving as well. So I'm going to come back and say the question again. Where is the U.S. Treasury going to get 40, 60, 100 trillion dollars when they're broke? You're asking to receive 3 times the combined gross domestic product of the United States. 2.5 to 3 times. That's what you're asking to receive. You're asking to receive more than 10 times what U.S. taxpayers pay into the tax rolls each and every year. We barely pay $4-6 trillion in taxes on an annual basis. That's a blindness. That's a fear that has blinded you and keeping you in a place of where you are. And it's sometimes it comes time to tell the truth. Attack me if you want. Question me if you want. Ban me from your sites if you want. Ignore my questions and say you just don't agree if you want. But facts are facts. And ignorance is ignorance, and stupidity is stupidity, and fear is fear. And that tells me you are being controlled by people beyond you that you have no ability to control at all. That tells me that you're being controlled on a puppet string by people who want to control you. People who have attempted to stop me, people who have attempted to smear me, people who have attempted to keep me off the radio show, people who have played with my website and tried to deny that as well. I've got facts. I've got people backing that up. I've known this for a couple months, and it's taken me a couple months to where the time is right for me to come out and make this statement. There is one thing that the family is backing. It's what's called a war on ignorance. They will not stand for continued ignorance, continued stupidity for people who are wanting to step into this thing and continue to keep themselves in those positions. You know what they will do, though? They will allow you to make your own decisions. They will allow you to continue to do what they do because, see, they understand something. Truth is always exposed over time. Truth always wins. Truth will always set people free. It's truth that sets us free from our fear, our ignorance, and our stupidity. I've been there. We have all been there. And truth will always win. And that is what I will stand for. I will stand for truth. I don't care if how many sites will ban me. I don't care how many millions of dollars I will be threatened to lose. I would rather stand with truth and let millions of dollars go, because then I know I've only garnered that money based on fear. And fear is the most dominant, powerful, demoralizing, paralyzing energy that keeps us in our financial slavery. We as a human race are in the process of being set free from millennia of financial slavery. I talk about this in the workshop, and the people capture this. They get the vision, and that's why they get so excited. That's why the energy there is so strong, because all of a sudden the light goes on. They get it, that we are in a world that is changing, and fear will only do you in. People who continue to live in fear will only gradually put their own noose around their own neck. And that's what's happening with the cabal. There was a great article that I just came across today about how the United States, the Federal Reserve, and the U.S. Treasury is falling apart. See, the ambassador had shared with me, and I've shared with you, that it was about a month and a half ago, over $6 trillion were released to various BRIC countries and the United States. And the BRIC countries are cooperating. where I would say the cabal controllers of the U.S., they are not. They've chosen to take this money, put it into old modus operandi, funding wars. Let me ask you this question. This ISIS crisis that has developed upon us, where do you think ISIS got millions of dollars to pay for their people to do what they did to get where they got? They've been funded by black ops operations here in the United States, creating war, creating conflict, so the U.S. government has a right and has a means to justify, to tell us why they have to go back to war and spend millions and billions of dollars on war when they're neglecting their own people. I've asked the ambassador multiple times. I asked it again yesterday in the workshop. What is the one thing that is stopping this RV more than anything else? And he basically, in so many words, said two things. Number one, the continued aggression of war by the leaders in the United States. Number two, the ignorance and stupidity of the people who want to continue to believe that. Not only about the war, but of believing that they're going to get hundreds of trillions of dollars to make them become wealthy overnight. And he says, that's the ignorance, that's the stupidity, that's the fear that's stopping this more than anything else. So to all of you out there that are holders of dinar and dong and other currencies, if I could encourage you in any one thing, wake up. Wake up to the illusion that I talked about last week. Wake up to thinking that you're going to become an overnight millionaire when nothing else is going to happen, and you can't stop to think through the end result of how the rest of the world in America and the world will react to you becoming super wealthy and where this money is going to come from. Now, I want to make a clarification. Yeah, some of it can come from the Chinese oil contracts. But I would again challenge you, wake up, think through the facts. China isn't going to purchase $40 trillion of oil credit contracts. China isn't going to purchase much more than 5, if even at that. Why would they be extending themselves out decades and decades and decades to purchase oil when most of us know that free energy is available to us right now today, and it's been the cabal-controlled forces that have stopped that from coming onto the market because it basically does away with their power and their control and their profits. It's always about follow the money. When you ask that question first, all of a sudden everything else begins to make sense and fall into place. When you ask the question, follow the money. Where did ISIS get the money? Follow the money. Why is Congress being so blind? Follow the money. Follow the money is who's going to pay for all of this stuff. Follow the money. Where does it come from? It always follows back and traces back to the people, the family, who has this unlimited amount of gold. And yeah, I am going to talk briefly about the princess that I had conversations with, through telecommunications means on last Sunday night and on Tuesday night. This is a lady who knows her position. This is a lady who knows where she is. This is a lady who knows what her life mission is. Call me stupid, call me ignorant, call me a fool, call me a con man if that's what you want to do. But I'll come back and I'll quote Albert Einstein. Judgment without facts is the greatest form of ignorance that there is. So if you want to attack me, then come up with some facts. Because if you don't, all you do is display your own ignorance, your own stupidity, and your own fear. I'm on a mission, folks, and I don't apologize for that. I'm on a mission about truth. I'm on a mission to do my part of helping to set this world free from millennia of financial slavery. And that freedom comes when we step into truth. Truth means we step out of fear that controls us, demoralizes us, blinds us, and paralyzes. We step out of ignorance where I don't want to know. And we step out of stupidity because I'm not willing to ask the questions. The antidote to stability is to be willing to ask questions of where this is going to take you, of what you perceive and what you think is there. Thank you for listening to this. I know some of you may not like this message. It may create fear within you. I don't apologize for that. Because see, the antidote to what we want to come about is being willing to understand and face into your fears, face into your stupidity, face into your ignorance. I had to do that. I've been through that. I had years of allowing fear to dominate my life, to keep me from being what I wanted to be, to keep me going from where I wanted to go, and from keeping me from acquiring the money that I wanted to have. Fortunately, I've come to the point where I don't have any ego attachments around money anymore. That doesn't mean that much to me. I don't really care. It's not that my concern about how much I have. Do I like to have it? Of course I do. But it's not ego-driven anymore. And by being willing to let go of my fears, to face into them, to acknowledge them, to confront them, and to acknowledge they were there, and to work through that and to heal that within myself, I've come to the point where I am fearless. And I just don't say that because there was one thing that the ambassador said when I first became acquainted with him, and I said, "Why me?" Because he said, "We've been watching you and following you for over 7 months, and you've displayed yourself to be fearless." That's what it takes. I don't apologize for the fact that I now have 2 different branches of the family who basically have under their trusteeship quadrillions and quadrillions of dollars worth of gold. And they have both said it's because you've displayed yourself and shown yourself to be fearless. And with that, I speak the truth. I'm not afraid to speak the truth. I'm not afraid to say, and I'm not afraid to challenge you, where's your fear? Where's your ignorance? Where's your stupidity? Because until you are willing to face into that, to step into that, and to deal with those things, then what I'm saying, you're just living in an illusion of thinking that you're going to get your overnight millions of dollars without asking the question, who's paying for it and where is it coming from? Thank you, folks. Wonderful time. I always encourage you, if you have the opportunity to join us at the workshop, I would love to have you. I have always said anybody is willing to attend as long as I have room in the room, but you have to register. You have to go to my website. Don't think you can just walk in there and show up and waltz in, because I also have to be aware of the fact that there are probably some, what I would call some people who don't like me, who are going to try to plant themselves in there and are going to try to disrupt the workshop. I'm aware of that. We are watching for that, and if you are one of those, guess what? We're watching for you. And all we will do is surround you with light and with love, because see, you will only put your own noose around your own neck when you choose to step into that type of an environment of that much powerful positive energy. All you will do is destroy yourself if you choose and want to do that. You think you can come in and disrupt, and all you will do is only disrupt your own life. Because why? Light always overcomes darkness. It always does. Thanks, folks. Have an absolute wonderful week. Love all of you. Okay, bye-bye.